Alright, so it's now the next day. Going to continue pulling down the engine. So the top end is going to have to come off first, so we'll take the head off, cylinder, and then we'll just start pulling off the flywheel, the clutch, everything else, get the cases apart, and go from there. So we'll just continue doing that, and yeah, all good. Something that's always fun is trying to get the head bolts off, head studs off, because they always like to get nice and tight. I might have to stick this in something to get that to hold in place. Okay, so the head is now longer held down, so in theory, you just give it a bit of a wobble, out she comes. Too easy. Piston doesn't need nothing in there, looks in bad nick either, which is always good to know. You can see it all in there. Alright, so I've got all the clutch plates off. I need to actually get the clutch baskets off. The problem with that is, this moves around. I don't actually have you can get tools to hold this still. I don't have one of them, so I'm going to have to figure out another way to get this to hold still with that while the engine is seized so that I can undo that bolt. Basically, just to make things easier on myself, I'm going to take all this case off first, just so that I can see everything. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright guys, so this next thread, which sits right there, it's actually a backwards thread. So you actually turn it clockwise to loosen it. It's a bit of a weird thing to do, but just make sure you don't get that wrong, because you can damage it if you tighten it, over tighten it, thinking that you're loosening it. So that's just a little heads up. Oh. so the next step is to pull the flywheel off. So to do that, I've got a puller here. It's not exactly the correct puller you're supposed to use, but this should work either way. So as you guys can see, there's one point there, one point there. These actually push up against each other. So how it works is this grabs the flywheel. As you screw that down, it actually pulls this up because that can't go down. It pushes that up, which then pulls the flywheel up. That is actually on the crank. That little screw, that thread there, the end is from the crank, not the flywheel. So basically I just got to put some grease between there just to keep that from getting all ruined and destroyed as I tighten it. Alright, so the flywheel's now off. It didn't exactly slide off, it kind of exploded off. Also Donnie's here, I need some help. Anyway, start taking the timing chain out and then everything else, all the case bolts, and then it'll split apart. Easy. Okay, so here's the fun part. Every single one of these case bolts has to come off. I'm going to have to keep track of where each of them go. So I'm actually going to go clockwise, starting with this one, and then I'll just line them all up here so I can remember, because they are all different sizes most of the time. In the wrong side. I was hitting there. David hit there. That bearing's almost out. There's going to be so much footage of stuff here. There you go. 2 split cases. A rag still stuck in there. There you go. There's all the insides. Too easy. Hurrah. And that is not how you take a gearbox apart. That just kind of exploded on me everywhere. 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece. It's safe to say I'm going to need to search up a diagram to put this all back together. There's your drum. Shift the drum. But, even though that all went to shit, gearbox is now out, so that makes that easier. Righto. I guess next piece. Alright guys, so it's now a couple of days later. I just got the crank back from the shop, just getting all trued up, make sure that it was straight, it wasn't twisted at all. It's fine, so the actual crank itself is all good. These bearings, not so good. This one isn't too bad, but this one is pretty much useless. It's got quite a lot of damage. It's actually, like, if I get a torch I could show you, but I don't think you'd be able to see it. You can even just hear it in the way it rolls. So I've got 2 more of these coming. I've also got gaskets and everything else that I'm going to need. So yeah, we'll get on with that part 3 and hopefully get this all back together. Radio. Till next time, bye bye.